Welcome to the Leverton on Everything podcast. I'm Leverton. I review everything books, movies, failed singers, singers who haven't failed. Um, yeah, so that's the first rule. Second rule is that every review that I do is under 10 minutes, starting from the moment when I begin the review, which is now. Um, Today I'm going to talk about rock and roll's greatest failure, the John Ottoway movie. John Ottoway was this guy who he got, so in the 70s, this record company was looking for like the next big thing, and they gave him, so he had, John Otway had like a one hit. So he's kind of like a one hit wonder, and he had like a small local hit and like a following. And so they gave him £1 million and as like an advance. And so they were expecting more and more hits because he had like a local following, but he released records, and I think the movie shows him releasing like five, six singles, and nothing happens. So basically, he never gives up, though. That's the thing. Like, he continues. And he's a weird character because he's charismatic, but he's not like attractive by any stretch of the imagination. And when he starts, he's like younger and has all of his hair, but uh, he slowly loses a lot of his hair. And but his style is very like enthusiastic and physical, and he's like does all of these tricks, and sometimes he falls flat. But the movie is all about like, when should you give up your dreams? Uh, when should you maybe re-examine what you want to do in life? So it's an interesting movie from that perspective, but clearly they made the movie because they wanted it to be like, yeah, remember this guy? Because I think around the same time there was this guy, and he, I forget his name, but he was Mexican American, I think, and he produced some music, and he was also kind of a commercial failure, and so he went back to his normal life. But later, around the time this movie came out, he uh, discovered that he was super successful in South Africa, and a lot of his music was used in protest movements. So he went to South Africa, and he was like a hit. So I think that that's what this guy was trying to recreate. Like, oh, if only people knew me, they would like recognize me or whatever. But I don't think that really happened. John Otway is still not a famous guy. And it's interesting because um, if I think about like the Canadian music scene, there are bands that are super famous in Canada, and who have like long careers, who are not famous in other parts of the world, like the Tragically Hip or Blue Rodeo, or yeah, I think those are the two from my generation that I can remember, and I'm sure there are more now. But so what I wonder is, why didn't this guy like say, okay, I'm not getting like hit singles or whatever. Let's focus on what I like to do, and let's focus on like keeping my audience, because if he continued to tour and like play local clubs and work on his songwriting, and work on that kind of stuff, I think he may have created an audience for himself. But I think the problem was, he had in his mind that he was going to be like a rock star, so he was trying all the time to be a rock star, and maybe the talent just didn't catch up to him. I don't know. Would I recommend this? I mean, if you are into obscure musicians from the 70s, sure, but you're probably not, so you can also pass it. One thing I would recommend is my son's podcast, the Everything and More Etc. podcast. It is on all of the best streaming podcast streaming sites. So you can check that out. If you do, he'd appreciate it, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.